Well, it's been about 5 years since Grace and I traveled to Europe when I was on sabbatical. It's amazing. It's that much time has passed already, and we had such a wonderful time. We flew into Budapest. We rented a car and headed out on the freeway. And I used the GPS that was in the came with the rental car, was built into the rental car. And I very quickly found out that that just wasn't going to work for us because it would wait until I was right in the middle of the intersection before it would tell me to turn. So I realized that that wasn't going to work very well. We found our way around Budapest, and then we realized that on our phone, using Google Maps worked much, much better. And so from that point on, I used Google Maps. I was trying to imagine what it would be like to tour Europe just using a map. And I could picture myself sitting in the car along the freeway somewhere, looking at the map, trying to figure out places and place names that I couldn't even pronounce, looking at strange freeways that all they do is show up as a on the map as a line, and wondering how in the world I ever would have made it through without that GPS, just using a map. The GPS just worked tremendously. Sunday or one morning, we were headed out of Budapest, and we're heading toward Vienna. And we just set our GPS for the place in Vienna that we wanted to go, and we headed out on the freeway. And pretty soon we were in wide open country. And then pretty soon, after about an hour or so, it began to get more populated, and we began to see signs for Vienna. And then it told us to exit. And we exited off the exit ramp and down into these smaller streets and roads and what seemed like alleys. They were just these very narrow streets. And it took us right turns and left turns, probably about 15 different turns. And all of a sudden, we pulled right up in front of the Spanish riding school, which is where Grace wanted to go to see the Lipizan horses. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing the way that GPS worked. Sometimes there's some spiritual truths in these kinds of experiences. And one of the things that I realize is that through life, people try to navigate with a map. And that map might be advice put together by friends or family members, or it might just be their conventional wisdom, or what they like to call, I just want to follow my heart, which to me is probably the biggest lie that Satan ever told, is for people to follow their heart. Because when God operates more like a GPS. His voice, His word, telling us every turn to make, which moral decisions and which spiritual decisions to make that will make our lives better. And yet people are still trying to follow the map, which is their own life's journey, their own life's plans, missing out on the very easy path that God has set before us. That is, following His words. Now, I shouldn't say it's an easy road. It isn't always easy. That's true. That there are complications sometimes, but God's plan always turns out better. It just simply does. I see people make mistake after mistake in their lives, and the failures that they face are just astronomical simply because they're not following God's plan for their life. What is your GPS? Is it God's voice speaking to you, telling you every which way to turn so that you can reach your final destination? I pray that that's the case. I pray that God is leading you and encouraging you along the way, that we can follow oftentimes blindly. That's the interesting about a GPS, is you don't really know where you're going. You don't know what it's going to look like when you get there. You just take the next turn. When it says turn right, you turn right. If it says turn left, you turn left. And it's following the step by step. We can't always see the long-term destination of where we're going. And that is that way in our lives too, in following the Lord, is when God says to take a right turn or take a left turn, then we need to simply be obedient because He knows the final destination. We don't. May God bless you as you travel life's journey. May God give you a great week ahead. Amen.